Are you tired of people giving you astrological reasons for astronomical events? Are you tired of people giving you wishy-washy logic for physics equations like E is equal to mc squared when you saw that as a kid and didn't really understand anything? Are you tired of the movie explanations of black holes which turn over a paper and put a pen through it to show you how space-time works and a wormhole connects two ends? Well, if you are that person, we sure have a solution for you. Introducing Relativity, the Special and General Theory by Albert Einstein, a book which claims to take away all those problems of yours. Look at those pages, smooth and clean. Look at the title cover, very beautiful. Now, don't worry, this book is not only for reading. Showing this book to the people who I've explained in the past will scare them away. It will turn them to the right way. It will turn them from astrology to astronomy. Coming at you with a cheap price of like and subscribe. Please purchase this book as it will take away all your problems.
Hello everybody, my name is Ruhan Pargav and today I'm back again at my channel with a book review. Now last time I did a book review, it was about Sapiens, and Sapiens is a rather popular book, especially if you look at YouTube and like general media, and it's a book which is recommended very frequently by other sort of content creators and edutainment channels for students to read. Now here I am doing another book review about a book which rather few people on YouTube actually talk about and recommend to people, and this is actually a book I'm really passionate about in the sense that I feel like everyone who is in love with the subject of physics should really read. Now the book in question here is Relativity, the Special and General Theory. It was written by Albert Einstein in 1916 and is translated by Robert W. Lawson, and I believe it was originally written in German, which was further translated and made more sort of contextually accurate for English-speaking people. Anyway, one of the biggest reasons I want people to read this book is highlighted very well by one quote by Einstein mentioned in the book, and the quote goes as such: "I make no pretense of having withheld from the reader difficulties which are inherent to the subject. On the other hand, I have purposely treated the empirical physical foundations of the theory in a stepmotherly fashion, so that readers unfamiliar with physics may not feel like the wanderer who was unable to see the forest for trees. May the book bring someone a few happy hours of suggestive thought." And I feel like that is really a very good summary of this book. So in today's video, I will keep it short and sweet, and I'm mainly going to be talking in three main sections. Section number one is the official overview. So I will be going over the basics of the book, how it's structured, how many chapters are there, what those chapters are about, blah, 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 stuff like that. Section two is going to be why you should read this book. And section three are going to be my personal thoughts on the book. And I feel like the personal thoughts might be irrelevant to some people. However, it may inspire others to actually take up the book and read. As for the structure of the book, there are actually a total of 29 chapters throughout the book, and that may seem like a lot, but you've seen the book, right? This is the book. And the book is a total of 178 pages, including the appendices. And is not really it's a very dense book, but it's not a volumetric book. And following from that, throughout those 29 chapters, Einstein basically takes you from very basic steps to rather complicated steps. By basic steps, I mean that, first of all, he starts out ignoring the fact that you as an individual know anything about physics, and he takes you through his thought and his perspective. The whole part one of the book, so the book is separated into three major parts. So the part one is the special theory of relativity, and part two is the general theory of relativity, and part three is the considerations of the universe as a whole. In part one, Einstein builds a foundation for you as a reader, talking about coordinate systems, talking about Galilean relativity, talking about frames of reference, and how the prerequisite physics for special theory of relativity works. By the end of special theory of relativity, because the math is rather not too complex, if you don't go into the Lorentz transforms, which I'll be discussing later, he also gives you the mathematical model for the special theory of relativity, which you're expected to learn in about grade 11 or 12 in most international curricula. Furthermore, by the time you get to part two, the math has become way too complicated. So in part two, the general theory of relativity mathematics is complicated and is beyond the scope of this book. At the end of the day, it's a 178-page book anyway. So the general theory of relativity section actually deals with rather the thought processes and the very basic idea of Gaussian coordinates. So Carl Friedrich Gauss, who was a German mathematician, actually came up with a way to model non-flat surfaces in geometry, like the surface of a sphere. Anyway, and he talks about Gaussian coordinates and not really much into the detail of the in-depth mathematics of the general theory of relativity, which may be a concern for some people, because I personally am. I just finished grade 10, and my mathematical prowess isn't beyond a decent grade 10 math student. And it was a refresher to me that, Einstein really understands that and doesn't go too deep into the mathematics. Part 2 is about the theoretical approach. It's about rotating frames of references, of accelerating frames of references, and rather the underlying principles of general theory of relativity rather than the mathematics of it. However, the special theory does tackle the mathematics. In part 3, he does go in deep into the philosophical aspect of it. Like, what does curved space-time mean? What does the existence of space-time mean? Like, how can time be interdependent with space and the whole construct of that? And in the appendices, number one thing is a lot of the math is discussed in the appendices. As you can see through the notes I have made throughout the book, you can see here is where all the math is at. And this is the appendix 1. And it gives you the simple derivations of the Lorentz transforms. And it tells you the Lorentz transform, if you don't know, by the way, it's just the transformations applied in special relativity if you want to go from one frame of reference to another frame of reference, assuming that the speed of light is the only constant and time and space are relative to your frame of reference and your velocities and stuff like that. Moving on from the general structure, we talk about why you should read this book. And I feel like a lot of people who are watching this video might be teenagers like myself and are interested in physics. The idea is that Einstein recognized that his theories are too complex mathematically for someone like me and someone like maybe you. Like, maybe you know and have studied the general theory of relativity, but I haven't. However, this book recognizes that, and it gives you the math in a digestible pace alongside the theory which everyone's interested in. Now, there are countless videos around YouTube about how relativity functions and different visualizations of it, and I feel all of them are great resources. However, just the fact that this book was written by the creator of the theory himself gives me motivation to keep delving deeper into the topic. It's especially if you read the initial passages, like his understanding of frames of reference, his understanding of velocity, his understanding of forces. It's so distinct from what we're taught in school, and it shows you really how changing your perspective and, learning what we have learned in school, but zooming out and understanding its implications as a whole can land you on the special and the general theory. And the way he presents it, it makes you feel like with the right resources, you might have been able to derive the special and the general theory of relativity. And that's what I feel like is so great about this book. It's not the technical prowess you're going to gain for the general and special theory, but rather the perspective and the original mindset you're going to gain for the theory and the ability to think in the way Einstein in a way did. Like, of course, Einstein was a brilliant man, and I'm not saying I'm even close to his mindset and his way of thought, but this book has allowed me to get a taste of it. Part 3 might really coincide a lot with part 2 because, why you should read this book was generally my perspective on why this book is good. But here I want to talk about what I've learned. And a lot of it's similar to what I expect you guys to learn, because I don't have the mathematical knowledge to understand the general relativity. But I do have basic mathematical understanding that I can recognize the mathematics of special theory of relativity and really just appreciate its brilliance. However, that's really not what the book is about. The book is about making you think, or making you almost believe that this process, like special and general theory, are not mystical beasts. They're actually just logical deductions from, at the time, groundbreaking research. Like after Maxwell's equations, after Lorentz came in with the whole electromagnetic theory, how it was clashing with the classical world, general and special theory just fall out perfectly logically. How the child's game where you put the block in and it perfectly goes through? That's basically how it makes you think about these physical theories. And it honestly, while it may make you intimidated in terms of the math involved, it really makes you appreciate the brilliance and the fascination associated with physics, which is why you guys are probably interested in it. You know, like going through school, you forget about the theoretical and the philosophical aspects of the subjects which you once aspired to, as you get lost in the mathematical technicalities of it. But this book shows you that the most complicated and the most brilliant theories in this world, while maybe mathematically beautiful too, have a certain philosophical and almost dreamlike tone to them, and you can understand them logically without really having an ultimate grasp on the mathematics. And that's why I think this book is so great, and that's why I've read it twice. And that's why I'm probably going to read it again once I finish my grade 11 and 12, just to get that new perspective, that new mathematics, and the new understanding of physics involved with my mind, and the way of thought of Albert Einstein. Thank you very much. It's been me, Ruhan, and I hope this inspired to go up and read this book. And please take notes. This book is it's not going to be an easy read. It's not going to be a pleasant read where you read through 100 pages in a day. This is the type of book you're going to be there, read 2-3 pages and puzzle over those 2-3 pages for a day. That's what makes this book great. It's a journey through thought rather than a journey through a story. Thank you very much. Hope you had a great time. It's been